Okay. All right, here we go. We're broadcasting. I'm just going to double check and make sure that everything is happy inside of the group and that the live is moving forward. I always have a little bit of technology skepticism. It's because of working with technology too long. That, and I think whenever you are combining big energies, there is the potential for stuff to get a little disruptive. You know, we're electrical, we're magnetic, we're energy. So I'm just going to double check and make sure that it's happy. So let's see. I just want to start by saying thanks for being here. Thanks for being willing to show up.
Yeah. I'm excited to be here.
So we bring in people that have all different kinds of skill sets. Just like an extraordinary number of folks doing different things. And I don't believe we've actually had anyone who has described themselves as a style therapist that has shown up before. In fact, I want to say we haven't had anybody that's shown up in the realm of fashion or style. And yet, this is wildly spiritual. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to ask some questions that were posed by the group and also just to hear more about your philosophy and the work that you do, because every time I read what you write, every time I engage with your work, it just feels so powerful and so needed. So let's do this. Yes. So I'm not sure if the video is going to be friendly to me, so we're going to leave that be for now.
Okay.
I want to start off by repeating back to you a quote from you.
Okay.
So for those of you who haven't been in the group very long, my name is Steph Lagana. I'm the host of the group. We welcomed a few new folks in this week, and I'm happy to have you here. My goal in providing this material is always to expose you to other people's magic and to give you new insights into the world around you. So a lot of times that looks like the world that's around us, but with new seeing, new vision. And I really strongly believe that that's what Linda does. So Linda is a personal style therapist, and I would love to have you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what it is that you do and how you got there. Because I know you from one specific way, and I know who you are today, which is this magical, like, bastion of fashion and self-love. So yeah, can you describe your work and how you got here?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Stephanie, so much for having me on here. It's just so wonderful to connect with women that have a spiritual base, that know that there's a lot of power in what they believe and in creating their life. And for me, as a personal stylist for 20 years, I have spent most of my time honing my skills as a fashion stylist. And I, in the past, had a collection of clothing that I sold in doing trunk shows. And I don't know if anyone remembers the units clothes, but they were these kind of stretchy pieces that you could wear. They were very basic, and you could mix and match them. And I created a line with lots of different colors and styles, and I only sold them through trunk shows. So I would host a group of women, and they were all different sizes and shapes, and I would dress them, and I could turn tops backwards and upside down, and I could take these little bandeaus and put them in the hair or at the hip, and it was such a fantastic experience for me. And that is when I really fell in love with the idea that women are so diverse, and that we're all different sizes and shapes, and that the idea that society narrows that standard for us that we have to live up to has always made me a little nauseous, if you will. And in the past, I've also been a professional makeup artist, and I had my own line of makeup that I sold to salons, and I sold it with a concept of color analysis, and it was called California Blends. And so eventually, with all of these different experiences, I put them together in an age when if you said you were a stylist, most people thought that you did hair. So it was right at the beginning, the birth, I would say, of being a personal stylist. And so all along, I've always felt that there was something lacking in the style industries, in the way that they showed women, what clothes look good on them, and in the terminology they used for describing your body, like, calling you a pear or a rectangle or an apple and all those different style terms that are still used. And I never really liked that. And I wanted to find a way to help women get to know their bodies and love their bodies, because I realized that has to come first. In order for your world of style to open up to you, there first has to be an acceptance and embracing of your body. And every woman that I worked with, no matter what they look like, if they were the perfect model look, or an older woman, or a large plus-size woman, every single one of them didn't like their bodies. And they would look in the mirror and not be able to say they were beautiful. And this is, of course, really the truth of today, is that we have about 98% of all women don't think they're beautiful, and only by exercise, dieting, plastic surgery, all of those outer external things, can they even be considered beautiful. And for me, this is a real huge problem, and it's holding women back from feeling empowered and feeling confident in their bodies. So why I call myself a personal style therapist now is that is exactly what I do. There are always two parts to beauty. There's the inner beauty and the outer beauty. And what I work on first with clients is, how do they feel about their bodies? Why do they feel the way that they do? And where did any of these negative criticisms come from? And we sort of hash through all of that stuff to see what their mindset is and to see what they say to themselves when they look in the mirror. And that is how real transformation can happen. And I've experienced it with my clients who have transformed their style, but also the way they feel in their bodies. And this is what is my mission, is really what I want to do, is change this paradigm of beauty that has been in front of us and around us for so many years that we compare ourselves to. And I want to put this in the hands of women themselves to be empowered to be their own kind of beautiful.
I am not sure you could give yourself a bigger job.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, it's remarkable. Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe my internet connection is being a little bit funny. Is it okay on your side?
Yeah, everything seems fine over here.
Okay. So I just want to reflect back to you. What I heard you say was that, one, you've been in the fashion industry. You've been doing this style work around this style work for 20 years. And you haven't met a woman that has been able to look in the mirror and just say, like, yeah, I'm beautiful. No caveats, no conditions, no additional work.
Right.
Flabbergasting.
Yes.
I mean, I feel it in my body, but it is such an epidemic. And I'm not sure if I've told you this before, but I think that there's something really powerful about you. I feel like you are very classically beautiful. I mean, I think you're gorgeous. And I think that there's something really special about what shows up inside of me to hear you say that, like, this isn't fair. It's not okay. Like, we can't have women spending so much energy
right.
getting caught up in, like, these negative loops. Like, there's so much inside of us that doesn't get done because of this, like, angst and self-flagellation. Okay, I'd rather let you talk about this. I want to use one of your quotes. You said, "You get to define what is gorgeous, not the trumpeters of society's declaration of beauty." Okay, for me, that's everything. You get to say it.
Yes, right.
I want to hear a little bit about what you've seen change in 20 years, because you've been inside of it. I've been on the outside, whether it's like from Kate Moss to Kim Kardashian, I just want to know what you've seen evolve and what your hope is. If you can do your work out in the world, like 20 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, what's the change that you want to see in practical terms?
Okay. Well, I'll answer that first, and then I'll backtrack to your other question of what's changed. But I want to revolutionize the paradigm of beauty. The paradigm that we have right now in society tells us that there are very few women who belong to the beauty club, and it's exclusive. And we see this in our beautiful and very thin celebrities, and we see it in the models that are modeling the clothes. And so, but we haven't seen the real woman very much out there in wearing and modeling clothes. So what happens is eventually you start thinking, well, I don't look like that. I could never look like that. So I guess that means I'm not beautiful. And I also want to say that I have gone through this myself. And I had a terrible time with parts of my body when I was a younger woman, and would only focus on those parts that I didn't like when I looked in the mirror. And it made the difference between feeling good that day or feeling yucky that day. So I went through this process myself. And my goal, of course, was if I want to help women feel good about their bodies, of course, I have to too. And I just started digging and digging into this. What's behind these critical thoughts? What's behind these beliefs? Pulling back the veil. Why did those thoughts get there in the first place? We weren't born being critical of ourselves. We were born beautiful, and we are destined and meant to nurture our beauty as we age. So I started seeing a pattern of manipulation, if you will, of the marketing and fashion industries of beauty, that there was this belief that if you put your product on a beautiful model, that narrow band of beauty, women will buy the product because they'll want to look like that. So if I buy that, I'll get to experience and feel like that woman. And there's something very insidious about this, because it also makes us feel that we're less than, that we're lacking, that we have to improve ourselves, that our body and face become a project to become more beautiful by using that face cream or buying that pair of shoes or whatever. And it's all a lie. It's a lie. I mean, it's the thing that gets me up in the morning, I tell you, the most, because it really ticks me off that this has happened to women, and it's happened to women for centuries. And I could go into a whole nother story about how women have been treated in the past and how their looks and their beauty became crucial to marrying the right man and all these sort of things. But to me, this doesn't help women buy products. I think women are really starting to wise up to this, that what will really make them buy something is if they see someone like themselves in the media and go, wow, she looks great and she's wearing that skirt and it really compliments her, and yeah, that's something I could wear. And so in the last 20 years, I'd say more or less, maybe the last 5, there have been a variety of models in the magazines, and we're seeing more and more of it, and this is a really good sign. There's this body positive movement that is helping women take charge of their own beauty, and I consider myself a part of that. And because I have the fashion background, I'm so lucky that I get to combine the two, that I get to help women change how they feel about themselves, and I get to help them dress in a way that really flatters and compliments them so that they go together. Because one without the other is really incomplete. I've dressed women with closets the size of a house, who have a whole rack of ball gowns and, are buying things constantly and get them dressed for a special event. And I can tell they really don't feel that good about themselves. So what's the point? I mean, they have money and they can buy nice clothes and they can look nice, but if they don't feel it on the inside, their beauty isn't really being seen.
Ooh, okay. Well, I had a hunch that I would cry during our conversation. It's so visceral, like I feel like there are so many like primal things that all of these conversations touch. It's just, and so many unhealed wounds too, like that we're all of us, marinating in some kind of way. Okay, so I would like to ask the question. Two people in our group had asked this question. They said, it was really good. They said, how do you dress a body that you're not comfortable with?
Right. Yes. Yes. I read that question, and my heart went out to both of you who felt that way. And that is something I could talk about forever. But what I will say is that what you have control over is what you think and believe about your body and how you feel about your body. And if you're not comfortable in it, your choice is either to do something to yourself physically, like most women think they all need to lose weight. And then once you do, you'll feel good, you'll feel better, you'll feel more comfortable in your body. So that's one way of doing it, and that's the way most of us have thought about how we can improve ourselves. But the other thing is, how about changing how you feel about your body? Because if you change that, then you won't feel uncomfortable anymore. And, I have my little Stellar Beauty wand here, and I wish that I could just wave it and all of a sudden all of you would change those criticisms that you feel. But you're not alone, and some of these things are so deeply ingrained in the back of our minds that it's so unconscious when we look in the mirror and we say something to ourselves. We don't even realize that we're doing it. We assume that we're not beautiful because of what we've been told. And this can go all the way back to childhood. Usually it does. Usually I have to take a client sort of back into those steps of when is the first time that you felt really self-conscious about your body? Did someone say something to you? Was it a classmate in school? Was it your mother? Something happened where you went from enjoying what your body could do as a little girl to feeling self-conscious about your body. And it came from the environment around you. So once you're able to identify those things that were said, and you can call them out, I actually just last week wrote a blog post that's called Who Gets You Dressed in the Morning, the Beauty or the Beast? And I call the beast is these negative thoughts that put you down, try and make you small, try and make you think that you're not worth it, that you're not beautiful. And when we hear those, it's usually when we're looking in the mirror. So I have several exercises that I work with clients on they're actually mirror exercises, and to bring out all of these criticisms and get them out of their head and onto paper. And then at that point, we can really work with them. So, I'll give you an example. If anyone out there is afraid of heights, and you've always believed that you're afraid of heights and that you can't climb a mountain because you're afraid of heights and you're never going to try it. And let's say one day you do. Someone convinces you, it's not so bad. If you just take one step at a time, you'll see it's going to be okay. And the person that decides, all right, I'm going to try it, they're testing their belief about themselves. They're testing this thing they've always thought that I will freak out if I'm up high somewhere. But once they do it and they succeed in it, they can change their belief. They can say, wow, well, okay, I'm a little nervous, but I can do it. It's not a done deal. That allows me then to walk and do things, where there are heights involved and not feel afraid. So this belief that we're not beautiful is that deeply wrenching often. And it takes a step of courage to decide that you're not going to believe those things anymore. And it's especially helpful when you realize that they've come from someone else. Like, the definition of beauty is defined by somebody else. And I know that all women want to feel strong in themselves. So the way to do that is to define it for yourself and to reverse and reframe those negatives that you have that are there all the time. So this part of the work that I do is really at the center of my heart, and I'm so fortunate to have seen many women transform this way. And they don't worry anymore about how they look when they walk into a restaurant. They feel good. They feel confident. They are believing they're beautiful. It's an amazing thing that happens, and I think is in many ways the gateway to women going on and doing what they want to do and feeling confident in their bodies. Because if they don't, they stay where they are. And you have to ask yourself, do I want to continue believing what has been defined for me as what beauty is? Do I want someone else to control how I feel about my body? That almost makes me want to cry, because it is what is happening, and it starts very young, and for most women, mothers pass it on to their daughters, and so on and so on. And we can really disrupt that whole pattern of thinking and believing and transform ourselves to be very, very confident in our bodies and be free to do what we really want to do.
I love that. I'm in it. I'm signed up for the rebellion.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Well, I did want to say that I have so many people asking me about this, that in January 9th, I'm going to be starting a group program that does exactly this. And it's something that we share together as a group, a private group with a private Facebook page. It's not up yet, but it's going to be called the Stellar Beauty Club. And the name of my book that I'm hoping to get an agent for very soon is called Stellar Beauty, The New Paradigm. And that stellar beauty is the woman who loves her body like a best friend. And I love comparing it to a best friend, because you have a best friend that you love no matter what. If she's your best friend, you know her quirks, you know her flaws, but you still love her anyway. So by looking in the mirror and saying, my body's my best friend, okay, you got a little quirk there, maybe your hips are really round, but I love them anyway. And this choice, it's really just a decision to love your body like a friend, can rock your world. And so I am starting a group program in January for that. And if people are interested, they can email me, or they can book a consultation for 30 minutes on my website, and I'll tell them all about it.
I love that. And you are at lindabuckman.com, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I wanted to make sure if there is someone that wants to type that into the comments that is watching the live, you're welcome to do that. I want to, let's see. There's one more quote that I wanted to share. Okay. So on one of your articles on your website, actually I think it might have been one of your programs, you said, do my clothes serve the woman I am today? And that just kind of grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me around.
Yes.
So we know now that the way that you see fashion is as an inner game and an outer game. It's two parts, and one without the other
Correct.
Doesn't stand alone. So you are not just the woman that pays attention to belts and blazers and that kind of thing. Do you recommend that women take this question with them, into their world, to really evaluate how they are, showing their body love with clothing? Is that the one that fits?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think if you ask yourself the question, who is the woman I'm becoming? And I have a private program that goes for 8 weeks, and it's called Becoming Her Style Deluxe. So if you can imagine that woman that you want to be and that you're stepping into, you can also imagine what she's wearing. How the fabrics feel, how she feels in the clothes. And if you have a good imagination, you can start to see that the clothes embrace her and the clothes move with her, and that is something that is really important for you as you define yourself. So if you ask yourself, are the clothes serving the woman I am today? A lot of women will say, well, no. I don't like the clothes in my closet. I'm not happy with them. They don't make me feel good. What's the problem? And there is a lot on the style side of things that can determine for you if your clothes aren't working. But it also could be a step in saying, I'm worth spending some money on myself. I always try and teach my clients to buy more quality clothes than a lot of schleppy stuff, throwaway clothes that after one wash fall apart. Because if you're wearing something of quality, you feel a lot better. And of course what you wear is the outer expression of who you are on the inside. So there's also the style piece. What is your style? Can you tell me in 3 words what your style is? Most women say, well, I want to look sophisticated. I want to look elegant or chic. But those words are so generic that they really don't describe you. And the work we do is to find the words that really describe you. And I'm sort of a master then at translating those words into fashion, so that people pick up on who you are by what you're wearing. And that's kind of the art of it that I really enjoy.
The way that you describe that, it actually makes it sound exciting, which is much different than I normally feel about fashion, quite frankly. It normally is a little bit nausea-inducing. So I'm wondering if there are industry secrets that you can share. If there are, you mentioned buying less, higher quality. Are there the right stores to shop in? Does it depend on your body size, your body shape? Are there secret places? We had a few folks that were in the group that were saying, I want to try to be responsible. I know that there's a big environmental impact, so I'm looking at, clothing that's already been bought and loved and used. Or I want environmentally friendly fabrics that are a part of, my my wardrobe. So are there like secret places to shop where clothes fit? Do we just need to get everything tailored? I know they all need to sign up for your program in January. Tell me.
Yes, great question. Thank you for that. I would always say that it first starts with you, and you have to know your body. And you have to know your proportions, and you need to know what, say, length jacket looks best on you. Is it at the high hip or at the mid-thigh? So the more you know about yourself, your proportions, your coloring, the kinds of line pattern that you see in your face that can be reflected in your clothes, all of those things, having knowledge is really the armor, the weapon is knowing yourself. So that takes, if you've never done anything like that, that takes a while to get to know that. But what it does is that when you do go into a store, you can scan a store and say, okay, 90% of that is not me. You can literally just exclude what you see by going, no. And you're looking for those pieces that you know will work for you. So that's a big, big help. Online shopping is here to stay. So when I do work with clients now, I give them both online resources, and I have them order things, and then many of them will come to San Francisco where I live and will actually shop, but we'll get all those online things together as well. And my blog post tomorrow and my Facebook Live on Thursday is about the Real Real, which is this fantastic company that sells luxury garments, pre-owned luxury garments. The concept of the whole thing is fabulous because you can buy something that you wouldn't normally buy at full price, and it's getting passed on to you. If it's a high-quality garment, it's going to last a lifetime. So now you're getting the chance to wear that instead of buying something new that ends up being thrown into landfill because it's a cheapy thing that, wears out and you can't wear it anymore and you can't even pass it on to someone. So I really believe in that. And I can also, after our talk, post some links for websites that do eco-friendly clothing. One that comes to mind right away for me is Athleta, and it is based in San Francisco, was started by women, and they are very, very much into the fair trade and into eco-friendly fabrics. And that's happening more and more. It hasn't really hit the mainstream yet. Clothing and manufacturing is a huge polluter. Even just the amount of water it takes to do the dyes, to dye the fabrics, it really is a problem. So the recycling idea is here, and it's very current, and it's here to stay. So if you know what works for you, and you know where to find something that's pre-owned, you're really doing something that you feel good about, and you're finding something that you love.
I love the idea of what sort of jacket works for you. Is it hip height
Right.
or mid-thigh? There's such tremendous power that comes with, oh, that's not the style that suits me. Oh, I need to look for a different style, instead of saying, why are my arms not the right length?
Yes, that's right. That's right. And it just goes back to that you deserve to have something that graces your body, that you feel beautiful in. So if you're a petite like me and the sleeves are always too long, unless they're a 3/4 sleeve, you hire a tailor to make it right. And that's part of what I also say is spend less money on clothes, but make sure you have a budget for a tailor, because nothing beats having a perfect fit. And if you're rolling up sleeves or you're rolling down waistbands, it just adds a lot of bulk. If something is too tight and you see pull lines across the bust, you're never going to feel comfortable in that garment, and you probably won't want to wear it. So there is definitely a lot to be said for knowing your body. I can give you a little quickie on something that might be interesting that most of your gals could pick up on, and that is the importance of your face. So your face, when you dress, the idea is that everything you wear draws attention up to your face. And that's where your light is, and that's where your soul is, and that's what you want people to see. And in business, you want to get direct eye contact. So if you're wearing something that distracts away from your face, people don't know where to look. They'll look at that, they'll look at you. They'll look at that, they'll look at you. Like, where am I looking at here? So if you have, let's say, an accessory that's a huge scale with a tiny face, for example, that accessory is wearing you. You're not wearing it. So that's just another little factor, is the size of your face and the scale of your features, the line patterns of your face. I can see, Steph, that you have beautiful curved lines everywhere on your face. Your eyebrows, your eyes, your beautiful round cheeks, your jawline and chin, it's all just set in these beautiful curved lines. So what I would recommend for you is, if you buy a print, you don't want hard geometric shapes. It doesn't resonate with your face. You would want to get something that has vines or paisley or circular lines on it. That enhances your face. And the eye loves to see pattern. So that's part of what we're employing here, is that someone might not know why that top is so great, but you do. Because you picked the right color, you've got the right neckline that matches your face, and it's in a print that enhances the natural line pattern on your face. So you can do so much with that, and that only builds that beautiful drawing up to your face that you want people to see.
I love that. It also reminds me that there's an extraordinary amount of hiding that can be done when you are not comfortable.
Yes.
Not that I would know anything about that. There was one other question that I really wanted to make sure. There was one other question that I wanted to make sure that I asked, which was, when is a woman ready for a style therapist? And now I'm thinking there aren't any women that aren't ready, but I'd be curious what your opinion is on that. And I also, if you feel comfortable with talking about your stellar beauty paradigm at all, I invite you to do that. If you would like us to wait for the book, that's okay too. I have a little bit of insider knowledge, so I'm like,
yeah. Okay, yes, I can talk a little bit about it. When is a woman ready? I think if you want to feel great in your body, you want to feel confident, and you're sick of feeling crappy about yourself, you're ready. It's time. The time is now. There is a way to get rid of all of those criticisms and really start building up what's true, which is that you are beautiful. Every woman is beautiful. I know that part of the reason this is so important to me is that I have the gift of my eyes seeing beauty. I can see beauty in what would be called the ugliest things. There's always beauty there. So in working with a client and seeing her beauty and then having her look in the mirror and go, oh God, look at my fat legs. It breaks my heart. But retraining your mind to see the beauty that's there, even just the idea of a curved line. In our society, the straight, skinny body has been our model. But there's so much beauty in the curved line. The luscious curved line is so gorgeous. And even if you just think about it that way, it might start to change how you feel about yourself. The other part of your question was the stellar beauty paradigm, and I'm very excited about the book. It took me 10 years to write, and as I said in the beginning, part of what I wanted to write about was a new style system, something that would give women a new lens to look at their body, rather than trying to work with the old style terminology. And I discovered over 20 years ago the planetary body types in a very unusual way. I went to see someone who was very gifted in the arts of the spiritual arts, and had written a book called the Michael Handbook. And in the handbook, there is one part of how they describe you is by these body types. And they were just kind of like little stick figure sketches. But I realized right away there was really something there. Because when I started looking at these 7 planetary types, they just embrace that full spectrum of women. Completely full spectrum of women, from size, height, shape, personality, temperament. And so it took me about 10 years to develop them, if you will. Most of the things that have been written about planetary body types are 50 to 100 years old, written by men, and in a language that isn't very positive. And so I started researching, and I did women's studies, groups of women I would get together, and I started researching all famous women who kind of fit the model of a particular body type, and reading what she wrote and reading what she believed and seeing how it lined up so well with her body type. So this system gives you a way to connect who you are on the inside with your body. And how I start the whole thing is by having you look at yourself from the perspective of yin and yang, the feminine and the masculine. And actually, I have a quiz now that you can take on my website. It's at the very top of my website. It says, are you feminine yin or tomboy yang? And once you get a handle on what is yin and what is yang in your physical characteristics and your temperament, then that takes you to these 7 planetary types, half of which are yin and half of which are yang. And there is a very detailed chapter on each of the types, and then there are style tips for all of them too. So instead of just giving you general tips, these body types, every time I talk about them, women will say, oh, I know someone exactly like that. I know a Mercury. I know a Jupiter. Oh, yeah. My mom's a Venus. It's just amazing to me because, of course, this is not a new concept. It's ancient. It's been around since the Egyptians could really see the planets, and they called them the 7 divine principles. So it's woven its way in through history, all the way through in many different spiritual genres, including astrology and hand reading and different things like that. And I just found it so fascinating I couldn't let go of it. So I spent time with each of these types, months with each of these types, feeling them, imagining them in the world, figuring out what their body shapes were, all of that. And I reinterpreted the types for women. So that's what the book is. And not very many people have seen the book yet, but I am giving my first presentation on the planetary types in California in November, the very first one. So more information will be coming out about them, and I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives with different women who fit each of the types. And I've already got women signed up to do it with me. I just have to get to that point where I can really start sharing what these types are like. And I think that women will be really excited to be called a Jupiter or a lunar or a Venus or a Mercury or Mars or a solar. It is such a beautiful thing because there are qualities to each that contribute to the world. And there's a way to see how your body supports your dreams and goals through this system.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much about the fashion industry at its worst that feels like it just wants to erase everything that isn't it. You know, like the idea of letting every woman have glory in their body and being able to honor what is. Like, it's just such an incredible relief that I feel in my body. You went over that kind of quickly. Where is your presentation happening in November?
It's in California. It's in Sebastopol at a place called The Collective. And there's a woman that I'm very good friends with who has just opened it up, and she has it open for meetings and presentations. And all of the women up there are definitely woo-woo and very spiritual. And so she said, Linda, this is a great place for you to start to talk about the planetary types because they're going to want to know immediately. So that's where it is on November 14th.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay,
yeah.
So we do have folks in California, so if anyone is close to Sebastopol, keep an eye out.
Wonderful.
So we mentioned that you're at lindabuckman.com. Where do you prefer Facebook or your website? Where's the best way for people that want to learn more about the Stellar Beauty journey, about how you work with people?
Yes, the best way is to book a 30-minute free consultation. You got me for 30 minutes. You can ask me anything you want, and I can tell you more about the process. And how you do that is in my homepage at the bottom. It just says, you want to look great now, and you type in your name and email address, and you can automatically go in and schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. And any questions that you have, or you might want to talk about some of the blocks that you're feeling about, I just can't, I look in the mirror and I just can't see myself as beautiful, which is fine. It's perfectly fine because that's how most of us feel. But if you really want to change that and talk about how you can do that, I have Facebook. I do Facebook Lives on Thursdays at noon Pacific time. I have wonderful private packages that take you through the whole step from working on the inner beauty to assessing your style, assessing your proportions, assessing your skin tones, a full day's worth of a wardrobe appointment where I fly to your home, and then I take you shopping. And then 2 weeks later, after the shopping, I do a mixing session, which I call the lookbook. So you're getting at the end of that outfits for all of your clothes and combining them with your accessories so that you don't have to any longer freak out when you open your closet doors and you don't know what to wear. So that's sort of like the complete program that I love to work with. But I have other group programs as well. I even have one called Fashion Emergency. If you just don't know what to wear for an event, or you're not sure, you're buying something but you're not sure, you can book a one-time fashion emergency with me where we get on a FaceTime or something where I can see the outfit and talk to you about it and suggest what you might want to do with it, to add to it or take away from it. So there's everything from that to the full treatment, the full package. And I also have a wardrobe organization kit that I developed that you can purchase that takes you through, because most women really, really dislike organizing their closets, especially if there's stuff in there that's been there a long time and it's taking up precious real estate and you just don't want to look at it. You know, it's really hard to get motivated to clean it out. But the way that I put it together, it's actually fun. You can have a party while you're doing it, you know, and a glass of wine and have your best friend over, and you can quickly learn what you love that you need to keep and what is really needs to be given away. So there's a big variety, and you can see that my services also. You can read more about them on the website.
Yeah, this is definitely your magic. The fact that you make it easy and that there's an element of pleasure involved instead of pain is a testament to how much this is your magic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I just honor a woman's bravery and courage to say, my clothes suck and I want something better, and I'm with them in their private space. It's an honor to be there, and I certainly make it safe, very safe for women to show me their stuff and not feel bad if it just doesn't work, because, you know, there's nothing to judge. It's just, here's what we've got and here's where we want to go, and I'm going to help you get there.
And there are no boundaries, right? You've gone to other countries.
Yes.
You're based in San Francisco, but you've traveled. I'm remembering you went to Moscow, or you were planning on it.
Yes, and I've been to Paris and shopped with women several times. I actually go to Paris quite a bit. Sometimes I shop without my clients. I know them so well, and I know their measurements and what they like, that I'll photograph items and then send them to them so they can kind of shop online through my photographs. But yeah, no, there is no limit to where I'll go to work with women. Absolutely.
I love that. We just had a woman who is a wonderful friend of mine who's a coach and a photographer that was here. We didn't do it live because that was her first one and she needed a little bit of space, so we did a recording and it's over on YouTube. But one of the things that Renee and I talked about, she's lovely. I should connect you both. She's based in Santa Barbara. She has a powerful vision like you do. You both see very clearly and with such incredible love and compassion. But we talked a lot about how there's this incredible launch fuel that comes when you make the decision that you're not available. You know, you're not available for, I would say, shitty clothes because I have a potty mouth, but you're not available to look in the mirror and feel bad. You know, like you make the decision, okay, there's a standard that's going to be expressed, and it can be this incredible part of how you up-level yourself. And so I find it, I'm curious if you find that if there are women that are in a variety of experiences in their lives when they show up with you, are they often up-leveling? I'm just curious about the women that you're working with.
Sure. Yeah, well, I would say in the past, I confined my work to the fashion part of things, and I secretly wished and hoped and prayed that they would feel better about themselves, right? Because I knew that was a real problem. But now, you know, I'm very upfront about it, and the clients that I have now want that. They understand that feeling confident in their body is everything, and it doesn't just come from a pretty dress. It really comes from the inside. However, you know, I still have clients that I've had for over 10 years who I know really well, and we know their closets, and they want to go in and do some shopping, and, you know, we just click right through that, and I help them put outfits together, and they're not as interested in the inner work. But my perfect client is, of course, someone who is, because it's something that I feel very qualified to be able to help women with.
You're embracing your woo-woo in a big way.
Why, thank you. I love the word woo-woo.
And women need it. I mean, there's so much power, raw power, trapped inside of ourselves that is covered up by these bullshit beliefs.
Yes.
And you are a part of the magical team to help uncover this power. I'm so very grateful that you've made time for us today. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would just love to make sure that the women on the other side of this get to hear? Any things?
Well, I guess just that you're not alone. You're not alone in feeling badly about any part of your body. That it really is something that almost all women experience. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can really change how you feel about your body and what you believe about your body. And then you are just, once you do that, you're going to just rock your style. There's nothing holding you back at that point. Women become much more open to, yeah, this is my style. I really like that. I'm open to trying that. Instead of keeping the box small of, oh, well, I can only wear black shirts, or, whatever it is that a woman might believe, because she feels limited in what she can wear and what looks good on her.
I love that. Yeah. The time is now. I feel like I'm going to be going back and doing some journaling work tonight on top of the mirror work in coming days. It resonates so powerfully when you were saying, like, when was the first time that someone said something to you? It just things started popping up. It's just there, and it needs a floodlight,
Yes, and when we're young, we're so impressionable, so we tend to just believe those things. We don't even question them when we're young. So calling them back up, writing them down, it is a very powerful exercise. And looking in the mirror, that time that you're getting ready in the morning can actually be a sacred time for you, where you're acknowledging yourself in the mirror and you're smiling at yourself and you're telling yourself all these great things. No one else is going to do it for you, so you might as well do it for yourself and make this time of preparation for the day a sacred time.
I love that. When you were talking about this idea of just like seeing your face, like the shapes that are there, it reminded me of some of the energy that I've seen with women in their bank accounts, having this anxiety around, oh, well, I don't want to look, whether it's their checking account or their retirement fund, like, oh, I don't want to know. And then invariably, when you do money mindset work and you get more intimate with your money, it's not as scary. It's not nearly like the poltergeist that you think it is when you look it directly in the face. And I think for some of us, I know for me, there have been times when I thought, like, I just need to avoid looking in the mirror and then it'll be okay, which is such a travesty of like social indoctrination. Like no human should feel that way. No young woman, no woman, no matter their age, should have to go through that. Like, we should all be safe and seen and loved and know that inherently there's worth. Gosh, I just feel like we need to have like a group hug. This has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk through this and for sharing your magic and for being brave enough to be seen with your light and your soul genius out in the world. This is really important work. And I'm going to go tag a whole bunch of people because I know we had some folks that expressed an interest in seeing the replay. So thank you, Linda. Thanks for the folks that were watching.
Thank you
so much.
And thank you, everybody, for this privilege to talk to you.
I feel like we need some sort of call sign that's like, to your stellar beauty.
Well, you can declare yourself a stellar beauty. I'm actually getting t-shirts made. One says, my body is my BFF. That's coming out soon. And the other one is, I am a stellar beauty.
I love that.
So, yeah. Yeah.
that.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission here.
I have like my little brownie scout sign, like, I am a stellar beauty. I'm willing to sign up for that. All right. Lots of love, lady. And lots of love to the audience. Thank you so much for listening and just showing us your attention. You're giving us your focus, and let us know in the comments how this was for you. What did it bring up? We talked about some pretty big things, and I'm super curious when I get back to the Facebook group to see what the comments are and what's on your mind. All right, everybody, out from here to your stellar beauty.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks again. Bye.